The first time I heard my dad talking upstairs at 2:13 in the morning, I honestly didn't think anything was wrong. I had fallen asleep on the couch after gaming too long, and the sound of his voice drifting through the ceiling woke me up. At first it was normal, calm, low, the kind of voice adults use late at night when they don't want to wake anyone. I remember checking my phone and seeing the time because I had school the next morning, and I was annoyed he was still awake. Then I noticed something strange. I couldn't hear the second voice. My dad kept pausing like someone else was talking back to him, but there was only silence between his sentences. "No, not yet," he said quietly. Silence. He's still awake sometimes. Silence again. Then footsteps moved across the floor directly above me. Slow steps, one set belonging to my dad, the other sounding heavier somehow, almost dragging slightly. I sat up and listened harder, expecting maybe my uncle had come over late, but the second set of footsteps stopped while my dad kept walking. I remember that clearly because it made my stomach tighten immediately. One person moving, something else standing still. The next morning I asked my dad who he was talking to upstairs. He stared at me for a second too long before answering. Nobody. Then he smiled a little and told me I must have dreamed it. I almost believed him until the next night when it happened again. Exactly 2:13 a.m., his voice. Same low tone, same pause, same silence where another voice should have been. This time I went halfway up the stairs before stopping. The upstairs hallway was dark except for the crack of yellow light under my dad's bedroom door. I could hear him clearly now. "No," he whispered. "He can't know about that room." My chest tightened because we didn't have another room upstairs. Just his bedroom, mine in the bathroom. Then I heard something else breathing. Not my dad's. Much deeper, wet somehow. It sounded close to the door. I backed down the stairs so quietly my legs were shaking. The weird part is I never actually felt scared during the day. Everything felt normal after sunrise. My dad made breakfast, watched TV, complained about work. But every night after that, around 2:13, the house changed. The upstairs floorboards creaked, even when nobody walked on them. Sometimes I'd wake up already staring at the ceiling seconds before his voice started. Like part of me expected it. I started recording audio on my phone to prove I wasn't imagining it. The first recording captured his voice perfectly. Calm, quiet, then long gaps of silence. But near the end of the recording, after my dad stopped talking, another sound appeared. A whisper so low I couldn't understand it. I replayed it maybe 20 times. The whisper sounded almost layered, like multiple voices speaking together quietly. I brought the recording to my dad the next day, while he was drinking coffee. He listened without reacting. Then he deleted it from my phone, not just the recording, the entire audio app. "Stop listening at night," he said without looking at me. "You hear things when you focus too hard." That should have made me angry. But something about the way he said it bothered me more. Like he was warning me instead of dismissing me. A few days later I noticed the attic hatch in the hallway ceiling was slightly open. We never used the attic. In fact, I'd never even seen my dad go near it before. I stood on a chair and pushed it up enough to peek inside. The attic smelled dusty and strangely cold. My flashlight moved across old boxes and insulation until it landed on a chair sitting alone in the center of the space, facing toward me. I nearly fell off the chair because I knew for a fact that chair wasn't stored up there before. I climbed down immediately, but that night I couldn't stop thinking about it. At 2:13 I heard the voices again. Only this time they weren't in my dad's bedroom. They were directly above me, in the attic. I froze in bed, listening to slow footsteps scrape across the ceiling. Then came 3 loud knocks directly over my room, boom, boom, boom. My dad's voice followed immediately after, sounding nervous for the first time. "Quiet," he whispered harshly. "He'll hear you." I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning the attic hatch was closed again, completely shut. I asked my dad if he had been in the attic, and he dropped his fork so hard it clattered across the floor. He stared at me with this exhausted look I'd never seen before. "If you hear me talking upstairs," he said slowly, "don't come up." Then he stood up and left for work. That was the first moment I genuinely considered leaving the house. But where was I supposed to go? My mom had moved away years ago and my closest friends lived too far, so I stayed. And things got worse. Little patterns started forming. Every night at 2:13, the hallway temperature dropped. My dog refused to go upstairs after midnight. Sometimes I'd hear the attic hatch creak open by itself. But the strangest thing was my dad started looking different, tired all the time, distracted. Sometimes during conversations he'd pause like he was listening to someone else speaking nearby. One night the power went out during a storm. The whole house went black except for faint moonlight through the windows. I was lying awake already nervous because it was almost 2:13. Then I heard footsteps upstairs before the voices even started. Heavy, slow footsteps crossing the hallway. My dad's bedroom door opened. Then another door opened too, my bedroom door upstairs. I sat frozen downstairs trying to understand how that was possible because I was on the couch. Nobody should been in my room. Then I heard movement directly above me. Slow pacing. Back and forth, back and forth. My phone read 2:13 exactly when my dad suddenly shouted something upstairs. Not angry, terrified. "You said you'd leave him alone." Silence followed for several seconds. Then came a voice I finally heard clearly for the first time. It sounded almost identical to my dad's. "I remember you saying that about the other one." I don't remember grabbing my keys. I just remember sitting in my car shaking uncontrollably while rain hammered the windshield. I stayed there until sunrise. When I went back inside, my dad was asleep at the kitchen table. The attic hatch was open above him. I looked up slowly and saw someone standing inside the attic darkness, not fully visible. Just pale fingers gripping the edge of the opening. My dad woke up instantly when I stepped backward. He looked at the attic and then at me. "You saw it," he whispered. I asked him what it was, but he just covered his face with both hands and started crying quietly. That night he nailed the attic shut. Every loud hammer strike echoed through the house, while the ceiling above us creaked constantly, like something moving around up there. Around midnight he told me we were leaving in the morning. He never explained where we'd go. At 2:13 the knocking started, not above us, inside the walls. Slow, deliberate knocks moving through the house, one section at a time, until they reached the living room. Then my dad whispered something I'll never forget. "Don't answer it." The knocking stopped immediately after he said that. Then came silence so complete it hurt my ears. A few seconds later, from directly above us, something whispered my name in my father's voice. My dad looked at me slowly, his face completely pale because he hadn't said a word. We left before sunrise. We abandoned almost everything. My dad never talked about the house again, and eventually I stopped asking. But sometimes, usually around 2:13 in the morning, I wake up for no reason at all. My room feels colder than it should. And every once in a while, from somewhere above me, I hear footsteps pacing slowly across the ceiling like something still remembers where my room used to be.